morning split open with a siren that did not belong in a boardroom. Glass trembled and screens bled red as Alex Mercer said, "Kill the feeds and give me truth, not comfort." A push alert screened fraud, and the stock dove-like shot metal. Maya Rivera said, "Servers are stable, but the narrative is not." Traders' chatter became a storm against the windows. Elena Brooks said, "We issue a denial now, then audit quietly." The denial died when a leaked contract pulsed across every monitor. Alex Mercer said, "Who had access at midnight and why?" A camera drone outside tilted its eye at the 48th floor. Damian Cole smirked from a live interview and said, "Leadership is accountability, not excuses." Phones shook the table like a heartbeat on caffeine. Alex Mercer said, "No panic, only decisions," and still the floor felt like ice. A fire alarm test became a real evacuation tone. Maya Rivera said, "If this is coordinated, we are already late." Silence hit, as dense as thunder, and the room forgot how to breathe. The boardroom became a stage, and the city an audience hungry for collapse. Alex Mercer said, "Schedule a call with the lenders and open the books." A chorus of notifications mocked the command. Maya Rivera said, "Social sentiment is diving, and funds are tagging risk." A compliance ping arrived, like a knock from fate. Elena Brooks said, "If we contest the leak, we admit there is a leak." Paul drafted lines that felt like bandages on a burst main. Alex Mercer said, "We do not lie, and we do not beg." A chart of counterparty exposure fanned out like a threat map. Maya Rivera said, "We can survive the hour, not the week, unless we move." Outside, sirens harmonized with thunder, and someone prayed into a sleeve. Alex Mercer said, "Find the first fracture, and name it." The first fracture was trust, and the second was time, and both were already broken. News vans ringed the entrance like teeth, and the lobby mirrored the swarm. Alex Mercer said, "We walk through and keep the sentence short." A camera lunged as if it could tear truth from cloth. Maya Rivera said 3 questions, then we cut. A reporter shouted a number that tasted like fear. Elena Brooks said, "I will handle regulatory tone if you confirm intent." A door opened to a flood of flashes that throbbed like heat. Alex Mercer said, "The company stands, and we are cooperating." The quote grew clips and claws as it flew. Maya Rivera said, "Back inside." Now, but the crowd thickened into a moving wall. Security pulled a path with gentle force. Alex Mercer said, "Record every face," and the lobby swallowed them whole. The war room smelled like coffee and static, and the clocks disagreed on principle. Alex Mercer said, "Trace the midnight access to the contract vault." Logs stacked like fallen dominoes. Maya Rivera said, "One credential pinged from 2 sites." The air bent around that sentence as if it carried weight. Elena Brooks said, "Proxy or clone, either way it is planted." A silence opened that no one watered. Alex Mercer said, "Who benefits if we bleed today?" A chart drew a circle around a rival fund and refused to erase it. Maya Rivera said, "There is also an internal signal at 12:17. The number clung to skin like cold. Elena Brooks said, "We should assume a mole until proved otherwise." Alex Mercer said, "Assume nothing, confirm everything," and the room learned a new kind of quiet. Dusk draped the city in wet velvet, and the office felt like a bunker. Alex Mercer said, "We need capital before the market opens." The word capital settled like a price on a soul. Maya Rivera said, "Traditional lenders want collateral we do not have." The alternatives sat on the table like loaded dice. Elena Brooks said, "One caller can wire by midnight with conditions." The conditions hid teeth behind silk. Alex Mercer said, "Name the caller." A name was offered that tasted like smoke and memory. Maya Rivera said, "It is Evelyn Black." The room inhaled and did not exhale. Alex Mercer said, "We do not deal with shadows, yet the lights dimmed with the storm." Choices arrived like sirens in the distance, and none promised rescue. The storm did not leave overnight. It sat heavy, a fog in every hallway. Alex Mercer said, "Find out who is still with us and who is already gone." Silence stretched like a test. No one wanted to fail. Maya Rivera said, "Department heads are fracturing under the pressure." Reports arrived with words sharpened into accusations. Elena Brooks said, "Compliance flagged 2 directors for questionable trades." The word questionable cut like a blade. Alex Mercer said, "We will drag them into the light, not shield them." Screens flickered with charts, sliding toward crimson depths. Maya Rivera said, "Staff fear layoffs more than headlines." The sentence coiled like truth and poison entwined. Alex Mercer said, "Fear is a currency, but trust is survival." The boardroom felt smaller with each word, as if walls leaned inward. Elena Brooks said, "If loyalty is leaking, it is not slow, it is a flood." Alex Mercer said, "Then we must dam it with steel, not words." The rivals' press conference played like theater, every phrase scripted to wound. Damian Cole said, "Competence is not claiming stability, but proving it." His smile was carved for cameras. Alex Mercer said, "He feeds on our fall like a vulture." Maya Rivera said, "Media is amplifying him as the voice of reason." Each headline echoed as if designed in collusion. One. Elena Brooks said, "If investors hear only him, the market will make its choice." The market had no heart, only appetite. Alex Mercer said, "Then we break his narrative before it eats us alive." Silence inside felt more suffocating than the crowd outside. Damian Cole leaned forward on the screen and said, "This is a case study in arrogance undone." The sentence landed like a strike in the ribs. Maya Rivera said, "We need to control the lens, not the truth." Alex Mercer said, "Control both, or we lose both." The board gathered, a circle of predators dressed as allies. Alex Mercer said, "We need unity, not fractures." The phrase fell flat among sharpened smiles. Maya Rivera said, "Liquidity, ratios are burning through confidence." Eyes around the table gleamed like knives in dim light. Elena Brooks said, "Several members spoke with regulators before this meeting." The air grew dense, as if conspiracies breathed among them. Alex Mercer said, "This company is not a carcass to feed upon." A chuckle cut the silence, colder than steel. A director said, "Sometimes survival means cutting away the rot." Maya Rivera's glance warned Alex of traps tightening. Elena Brooks said, "If this continues, they will vote you out." Alex Mercer said, "They will need more than whispers to unseat me." The words cracked the room but did not hold it. In a quiet corner office, the storm sounded distant, like drums under glass. Marcus Hale, the mentor, said, "Ambition exacts a toll, Alex, and the bill has arrived." His voice was grave, worn with years. Alex Mercer said, "I refuse to surrender what I built." The mentor's eyes carried the weight of his own collapse. Marcus Hale said, "Every choice narrows the road until only the cliff remains." Maya Rivera said, "We can still fight this." Marcus shook his head weary. He said, "You can fight, but the fight may unmake you." Silence wrapped the room like a warning unheeded. Alex Mercer said, "Better undone by battle than erased by betrayal." The words felt like a vow carved in stone. Marcus Hale said, "Do not mistake survival for victory." The sentence lingered like smoke from a candle snuff. The call came at twilight, a voice smooth as glass, faceless yet heavy. Evelyn Black said, "Your empire bleeds, and I hold the bandage." The name froze the air. Alex Mercer said, "We are not partners." The voice said, "Not yet, but necessity heiresses pride." Maya Rivera whispered, "We cannot let her inside." Elena Brooks said, "She already is if she has our number." Alex Mercer said, "What are your terms?" Silence stretched, then came like a velvet knife. Evelyn Black said, "Control and silence in exchange for survival." The weight of the choice sank the room into shadow. Maya Rivera said, "This is the path we warned against." Alex Mercer said, "And yet it stands before us, waiting." The storm outside broke in lightning as if the sky demanded an answer. Rumors moved faster than memos, and left deeper cuts. Alex Mercer said, "Every whisper costs us 10 million in trust." The number was a bruise that kept blooming. Maya Rivera said, "Forums claim the contracts are forged." The word forged tasted like rust on the tongue. Tara West said, "Anonymous threads cite midnight screenshots and burner accounts." Screens blinked like guilty eyes that would not hold a gaze. Alex Mercer said, "Track the origin and tag the vectors." The map of leaks looked like a nervous system lit by pain. Maya Rivera said, "One handle matches a vendor we dropped last year." The year felt like yesterday, and also a different life. Elena Brooks said, "We can sue, but the cycle will outpace the summons." The cycle spun like wet tires on blacktop. Dolly. Alex Mercer said, "We win by speed, not rage." Outside rain thinned to mist and the city leaned in to listen. We. Tara West said, "I can reverse image search the screenshots and pull EXIF hints." Hope flared like a match in wind and held for one breath longer. The rival's deck dropped at dawn and detonated by noon. Damian Cole said, "Integrity is a balance sheet with no footnotes." His voice wore expensive certainty. Alex Mercer said, "He knows too much to be guessing." The slide behind him listed phrases that felt stolen. Maya Rivera said he is priming funds to short the recovery. The word short cut the day into smaller pieces. Elena Brooks said, he cites anonymous compliance sources as proof. Proof arrived dressed as theater and left as fact. Alex Mercer said, "Release our audit timeline and name the firm." The room steadied as if a keel found its water. Damian Cole said, "Transparency belated is confession in disguise." The quote crawled across ticker bars like a bright wound. "I'm D." Maya Rivera said, "If we chase his frame, we live in it." Alex Mercer said, "Then we break it and build our own." The team nodded, not in agreement, but in necessity. The town hall began as a meeting and turned into a reckoning. Noah Clark said, "We built this house and you are trading rooms for matches." His anger was clean and bright. Alex Mercer said, "We are fighting for payroll, not glory." The line fell heavy, but did not break the air. Maya Rivera said, "We will publish the audit before week's end." A murmur rolled like distant surf growing closer. Noah Clark said, "Do not promise what a shadow can veto." The shadow in the sentence had a name. No one spoke. Elena Brooks said, "We cannot discuss counterparties, but we can discuss values." Values sounded fragile in a room that craved certainty. Alex Mercer said, "Stay with us and help fix the engine while we fly." The metaphor earned a few tired smiles. Noah Clark said, "I will stay if we stop bleeding truth on purpose." The room exhaled, thin but real, like a truce under a storm tent. The mentor sat in the quiet cafeteria where deals once began and ended. Marcus Hale said, "Debt is not only money, it is memory with interest." His hands wrapped a cup he did not drink. Alex Mercer said, "The terms will buy time, and time buys options." Options felt thin as paper in wet hands. Marcus Hale said, "Time also buys the bill that follows you home." The lights hummed like tired thoughts. Maya Rivera said, "We are cornered, but not finished." Marcus looked at the rain and found old ghosts in it. He said, "I signed a rescue once and became the hostage it required." The sentence cut like a lesson etched in bone. Alex Mercer said, "I will not trade the company for a leash." Marcus Hale said, "Leashes can look like lifelines when the water rises." The water rose in the hush after his words, and no one stood. Night fell like a verdict, and the message arrived without a signature. Evelyn Black said, "Tomorrow, the board counts votes that do not yet exist." The line curled with certainty. Alex Mercer said, "You speak as if you own their fear." The reply came fast and calm. Evelyn Black said, "Fear is leased, not owned. And I hold the term." Maya Rivera said, "If we accept, we survive, but wear her brand." The brand felt hot even in thought. Elena Brooks said, "If we refuse, we face a margin call that can swallow us whole." The choice sharpened like glass underfoot. Alex Mercer said, "I will not kneel in the dark." The phone blinked once, a patient eye. Evelyn Black said, "Then meet in light, and bring a pen." The city hummed like a jury that had already decided, and the night did not promise sleep. Midnight logs bled secrets across the screen. Alex Mercer said, "This is no accident. Someone gutted the firewall." Maya Rivera said, "Credentials match an internal badge." Suspicion turned into a blade sharpened by silence. Unnamed yours. Elena Brooks said, "The breach points to finance, but the trail loops through 3 proxies." Alex Mercer said, "We choke it at the source before it poisons further." The air in the room was colder than the rain outside, as if betrayal had its own weather. The elevator descended with weight heavier than gravity. Alex Mercer said, "The spy wears a badge like the rest of us." "Tara West," said logs, "show midnight access routed through my terminal, but I was home." Fear cracked her voice. Maya Rivera said, "Then someone cloned you." The word clone sat sharp as a needle. Alex Mercer said, "We do not accuse, we verify." Still, suspicion crawled over Tara's skin like ice. The boardroom glistened with polished betrayal. Elena Brooks said, "We cannot fight battles without trust." Alex Mercer said, "Trust is dead currency now." Maya Rivera said, "You risk alienating even the loyal." A silence unspooled, thick as oil. The weight of glances suggested more enemies than allies at the table. Alex Mercer said, "Those who stay silent are already leaving." Confrontation flared like dry timber. A director said, "You are bleeding us dry." Alex Mercer said, "Better to bleed than rot." His words clashed with whispers of a vote forming. Maya Rivera said, "They're moving for your chair." Elena Brooks said, "One spark and they'll strike." Alex Mercer's eyes burned with the fury of a man already cornered. The betrayal snapped like a trap. Elena Brooks whispered, "They're aligning with Damien." Alex Mercer said, "Then you?" Her silence was sharper than any word. Maya Rivera said, "Elena, say something." The pause was an answer. Alex Mercer said, "Trust broken is not mended." His chest felt like stone cracking. Betrayal was never loud. It was the sound of silence with teeth. The deal's shadow stretched long over the table. Alex Mercer said, "Name her terms again." Elena Brooks said, 10% equity, veto on strategy, silence in press. Maya Rivera said, "It's ownership disguised as rescue." The phone glowed like a lure in the dark. Evelyn Black's voice purred, "You want survival. You sign now." Alex Mercer said, "Survival at what cost?" The silence that followed was heavier than thunder. Marcus Hale's words echoed in memory. Lifelines become leashes. Yet the leash lay waiting, braided in velvet. The call opened like a door to a darker world. Evelyn Black said, "Sign tonight and tomorrow belongs to you." Alex Mercer said, "And the day after?" Evelyn's laugh was silk hiding blades. Maya Rivera whispered, "Don't trust her." Elena Brooks said, "If we refuse, bankruptcy is tomorrow's headline." Alex Mercer said, "And if we accept?" Evelyn Black said, "Power with my hand on the wheel." It was less a choice than a trap disguised as opportunity. The underdog rose quietly from the corners of the storm. Noah Clark said, "You're gambling with our lives while preaching sacrifice." His voice was raw, fierce. Alex Mercer said, "I am gambling for survival." "Noah," said survival, "that sells us out is no victory." The words landed like fists. Maya Rivera said, "He's right." The truth burned hotter than betrayal. Elena Brooks said, "Without the deal, collapse is certain." "Noah," said, sometimes collapse is better than chains. The room split in two, loyalty tearing like fabric. Marcus Hale sat like a ghost at the table. He said, I once signed and watched everything turn to ash. His voice cracked with memory. Alex Mercer said, I am not you. Marcus said, you are, and worse, because you believe you can master fire without burning. Maya Rivera said, he's warning us. Alex Mercer said, warnings are for men who hesitate. Marcus said, then may the ashes be yours. Silence dropped like a curtain, and the storm outside felt closer. The signature slid onto the page like blood into water. Alex Mercer said, it's done. Evelyn Black said, now it begins. Her voice was velvet steel through the phone. Maya Rivera whispered, you've traded the company's soul. Elena Brooks said, you've bought time. Noah Clark spat, you've sold us. Alex Mercer closed his eyes, hearing thunder crash like applause. The ink was still wet, yet chains already tightened. Survival came, but so did the cost, and the cost was everything unspoken. The ink was still drying when the market struck back. Screens erupted red, bleeding losses beyond repair. Alex Mercer said, this was supposed to buy time. Maya Rivera said, Evelyn structured the terms. She profits on our collapse. Elena Brooks said, we signed away our defenses. She owns the first move. A margin call thundered through the room, louder than any storm outside. Noah Clark said, you gave her the keys to the cage. The air was poisoned with regret, thick and bitter. Alex Mercer said, then we turn her weapon into ours. His eyes burned with desperation, but the room smelled like defeat. The rival wasted no time. Damian Cole appeared on every screen, smirking with victory, already earned. Damian said, an empire collapses not from outside strikes, but from rot within. The words sank into the marrow of every listener. Alex Mercer said, cut his feed. Maya Rivera said, too late, it's everywhere. Elena Brooks said, investors are moving on his word alone. The company's spine felt broken, its limbs numb. Noah Clark said, he's dancing on your grave before the dirt's thrown. Alex Mercer slammed his fist, the echo swallowed by silence. The staff began to fracture, whispers turning into exits. Tara West said, teams are walking out, Alex. They think the ship is sinking. Alex Mercer said, then lock the doors. We finish this fight with who remains. His voice cracked like glass under strain. Maya Rivera said, we can't force loyalty. Fear is eating us alive. Papers scattered, contracts abandoned, hallways echoing with the sound of shoes leaving for good. Elena Brooks said, this is more than a revolt, it's abandonment. Noah Clark said, they're right to leave. You chained us, then burned the rope. The company's pulse weakened. Amid collapse, the underdog stood tall. Noah Clark said, enough hiding. I'll fight, even if you won't. His words struck harder than thunder. Alex Mercer said, you don't understand what you're asking for. Noah said, I understand survival means tearing out rot. His defiance rattled the table. Maya Rivera whispered, he has the team now. They're looking at him. Alex Mercer felt the shift, power slipping into the hands of the underestimated. Elena Brooks said, the tide is changing. The storm outside became a mirror of the one inside. Alex Mercer said, this is not how it ends. His voice shook but carried fury. Noah Clark said, it ends with truth, not chains. The clash of generations collided under lightning. Beach. Maya Rivera said, we are breaking apart faster than we can heal. Elena Brooks whispered, perhaps survival chooses its own leader. Alex Mercer's chest heaved, realizing the crown he fought for was slipping. The storm screamed against the glass as if mocking them all. The final boardroom was a battlefield. Chairs filled with shadows ready to strike. Alex Mercer said, this company is not yours to steal. Damian Cole said, it was never yours to keep. Their voices cracked like dueling swords. Maya Rivera said, Votes are already cast. Elena Brooks whispered, watch carefully who smiles when the blade lands. Noah Clark stood, no longer quiet, saying, if leadership is betrayal, then I stand against you both. The air broke with fury, betrayal, and fire. Marcus Hale entered with quiet gravity. Marcus said, I warned you, the cliff is closer than you think. His cane tapped like a gavel of fate. Alex Mercer said, this is not your fight. Marcus said, every fight belongs to the ghosts who lived it first. Maya Rivera said, we need clarity, not riddles. Marcus said, clarity is this, ambition consumes more than it feeds. Alex Mercer's eyes burned with refusal, yet doubt gnawed at the edges. The revelation struck with venom. Elena Brooks said, it was me. I gave Damien the path. Gasps echoed, sharp as glass breaking. Alex Mercer said, you, after everything? Elena said, survival was never about loyalty. Maya Rivera said, you've doomed us all. Damien's smirk widened on the screen as betrayal crystallized. Noah Clark said, this is why empires fall, not from force, but from rot inside. Alex's fists shook as the world narrowed to Elena's cold smile. The climax roared like thunder. Alex Mercer shouted, I will not fall to thieves and traitors. Damien Cole said, you already have. Votes slammed down like iron chains. Maya Rivera cried, it's over, Alex. Noah Clark said, no, it begins with truth. The storm outside cracked the glass, and the sound of breaking echoed their war. Alex's chest heaved, vision blurring, fury colliding with despair. The company's fate hung in the air, trembling like a candle about to die. The silence after the storm was worse than the thunder. Alex Mercer sat, broken crown of glass shattered at his feet. Evelyn Black's voice hummed through the phone. You live, but not as king. Maya Rivera wept quietly, knowing survival had stolen everything. Noah Clark stood, tall in the wreckage, eyes set on rebuilding without chains. Elena Brooks faded into shadow, her betrayal etched forever. Damien Cole smiled on screen, victory cold as steel. Alex whispered, the Empire survives, but I do not. The final word hung like smoke, heavy and unyielding.